Okay, good morning, one and all. So today we'll discuss about few topics. So since in the previous topic, the previous session, we discussed about something called definition of IoT, and then followed with that, we discussed about the characteristics of IoT. Today we'll try to discuss about the physical design of IoT, which actually consists of the generic block diagram for IoT devices, followed with the protocols which are required for these particular devices to get communicated to other devices. Apart from that, today, if possible, we'll try to communicate or we'll try to wrap up this particular logical design of IoT, which actually consists of the functional blocks related to that and followed with communication models. So we do have some models here. So we have 4 different types of models. Based upon these models only, we are going to see the different applications related to your IoT based projects. Okay, like something like weather monitoring system and others that we are actually based upon these particular things. Followed with that, we have something called IoT communication APIs. So these APIs, I think APIs is nothing but application program interfaces using which we people can actually communicate with the different applications. What are the applications we are designing? Like software applications are nothing but the software based the softwares which we are designing for our purpose. In your mobile phone, you are having something called WhatsApp. It's an application. So in order to get that application get communicated to the network, we definitely require some medium, some interface. That interface is provided by this particular application program interface. Okay, application programming interface. Now in this we have 2 different types. One is called REST based application, another is WebSocket based applications. So with these two also we are going to discuss today in this particular session. Now, first we'll discuss about the physical design. So what do you mean by physical design? Okay, so coming to the physical design of Internet of Things, the first and foremost thing what he's saying is, he is explaining about this IoT. In IoT, what do you mean by things? The things are nothing but here he is referring to the different devices. The different IoT devices we can talk about, or the electronic devices which are actually meant for performing one specific kind of task. Those particular devices is what he is calling it as things. And these things, what he's saying is, every device will have its own unique identity. How it is getting its own unique identity means based upon it may be a IP address or a MAC address, okay, or depending upon that, you will be having a unique ID address. And these particular devices are used for performing different kind of operations like sensing, acquisition, monitoring other devices and all. For that purpose, we are actually using these particular kind of devices. Now, what are the different operations these people can run? What are the different things these particular IoT devices can do? They can actually try to exchange the data not only between the application and the machine, but also it can transmit the data from machine to machine. Okay, not only whatever the application we are generating, with the help of that only, not only we can access the information from these particular devices, but these devices can also get the information from other devices. Apart from that, it can even try to send the data to other devices too. Not only it can collect the data from other devices, well, it can also transmit the data to other devices. Okay, and moreover, whatever the data is collected, it will be stored in any of the storage devices. So in this case, we have something called as cloud-based storage. So we'll be having some cloud-based applications which will be actually storing this information. Same way, we also have a centralized server. There is a difference here. Centralized means it will be present in a one particular locality where the data will be stored in that particular server. Cloud-based service in the sense is nothing but it will be wherever this particular company's cloud you people are using it, in that we people can transmit the data directly. So these two are there present in this particular thing. So these are the things which this particular IoT can perform. Apart from that, it can perform internal tasks. It will have some kind of programming which will internally decide for some purposes, and based on that purpose, it will perform some kind of manipulations internally, and it will try to perform the actions. Okay, but it will have certain constraints. Obviously, we know that the devices which have been deployed in the network, they are very tiny. For example, if we talk about a temperature sensor, it's very small in size, right? So that definitely, since the size is small, obviously the battery backup will also be very less. So obviously it has certain constraint there, how much it can perform. Even the memory which is present for these devices is very less. Okay. Yeah. Next we'll see the little generic block diagram. So I might have discussed in the previous session. Just I'll revise this particular block diagram of your IoT device. Okay. So if you look at here, in order to make sure that these other devices, so we are saying that these devices, Internet of Things, whatever are there, we are deploying in an environment and they are performing some operation. Now these devices may try to communicate with other applications, or they may try to communicated with other devices. So definitely we require some kind of interfaces. Now this block diagram consists of various type of interface, something like iBio interfaces, which are mostly used for sensors and actuators. We have UART, SCI, I2C. These are the interfaces. Okay, based upon these interfaces, we can, means the devices can communicate with other devices. Same way, we may want to capture image. Let us suppose we have a surveillance cameras in our college, and from that we want to capture the images and store it in our database. So in order to do that, definitely we require an audio by video interfaces in order to transmit the images or whatever the video that is getting recorded. Same way, since the information has to be stored somewhere, right? For that also we require something called as storage interfaces. Apart from that, we have something called processor and graphics. The processor, definitely every device should have a CPU in order to perform whatever the data is been gathered. We need to perform some kind of operation on that particular data. Maybe we wanted to analyze that data, or we may want to segregate that data, whatever it might be. For definitely for that, we require a central processing unit. After that, we have something called as graphical processing unit. So since we people are dealing with audio and video interfaces also, so definitely we require a graphical processing unit, because audio and video is purely related to graphics. So definitely in order to perform those operations on that particular images, we definitely require these particular GPUs. Same way we have something called connectivity. Since we are saying that one device can communicate with other device in an environment, how it can communicate with that means that may be depending upon, for that also we require an interface. So for that purpose we are using this connectivity interface, where the devices can be communicating either using a hardware device like your use Ethernet cables, or it may be like a wireless medium. So that depends, whichever technology being used, that depends upon the project what we people are actually generating. Okay, so definitely for that also we require a interface. After that, we have something called as memory interface. Obviously, we are dealing with different memories. We are storing information in the cloud. So in order to get that interface, in order to transmit the data from devices to the cloud, definitely we require some kind of interface. For that, we are using this kind of interface, something called as memory interface. Now, this is a generic block diagram for your Internet of Things. So if all these things are present, then only your device, your IT device can perform different operations related to this particular concept. Now, coming to the protocol, since we are saying that these devices can communicate with one and another, okay, machine to application, but how these devices are getting communicated? Definitely there should be some kind of protocol. I'll explain with a small example. Everyone nowadays do have smartphones. Let us suppose you wanted to transmit an email to your friend from a mobile phone. So what you people are usually going to do? We people will actually open the Gmail, and in the Gmail we will be we'll click on compose, we'll write some content in that and we'll send it. But how your smartphone is actually sending that mail? Definitely there should be some medium, there should exist something which will be transmitting this message, and that is nothing but we call it as protocols. So whenever your device want to communicate with other devices, or it want to send any data from your device to another devices, definitely there should be some protocol, some process should be there. That is what we call it as a protocols. And based upon these protocols, we can transmit the data. Okay. So in this, we are going to have some layers. So let me show you the diagram, and then we'll explain in detail one by one. Yes. Now this is a layer. So in this, we actually have four different type of protocols. First one is what we call it as a link layer. Then we have a network layer, transport layer, application layer. The purpose of the link layer is to transmit the data in the format of zeros and ones from hardware, through the hardware. Okay. For using a physical medium, something called Ethernet or any kind of thing, we can transmit the data. So on top of that is sitting a network layer. So what is the main purpose of the network layer here is to transmit the packets. Means whatever the packets are there, we need to route those packets, right, from source to destination. So which route has to be selected in order to transmit the packets, that is actually taken care by this particular network layer. Apart from that, we do have something called as addressing. Like we are transmitting the packets, so definitely these packets will consist of source address and the destination address. So that information will also be present in this particular scenario. Okay, so that hosting means host address as well as routing of the packets is actually taken care by this particular network layer. Then what is the purpose of transport layer is it has to make sure whatever the packets are there that are reaching the destination securely without getting any problem in between, and it is transmitting. So for that purpose we use this transport layer. Apart from that, we have application layer. Application layer, so what is the main purpose of application layer is nothing but we are developing several different type of applications here. Okay, so we actually, like for example, I told you that we have WhatsApp, we have messengers. Okay, same way. These are nothing but the applications we are using. But in order to make use of this messages, I mean this application, so we need to use certain kind of protocols. So that protocols are nothing but something we are defining here: HTTP, COAP, WebSocket, MQTT, XMPP. Well, we'll discuss. Now remember, HTTP, you people might have gone through a lot of time, you people are already using it in the web browsers. But whereas coming to this portion, that MQTT, XMPP, DSS, AMQP, WebSocket, these are mostly used for Internet of Things concept. And for your knowledge, I'm saying that this XMPP protocol, whatever you're seeing, this is the protocol that is used in your WhatsApp group. You people are sending multiple messages, single message to multiple users simultaneously, right, in a group. So how we can do it means it is actually using this particular protocol called as XMPP. Okay, so we will explain that in an elaborated way in the coming slides. So for timing, you can understand this particular thing. So here, first we have something in link layer. We have this. Okay, we'll discuss in the coming slide in a elaborated way. So first we have something called link layer. So this link layer actually consists of first we call this Ethernet. I think we people are very much familiar with Ethernet, right? Ethernet is nothing but it's a single cable connection using which we people can transmit the data from one system to another system or over the network in a wide range. So here the IEEE standard name for this particular Ethernet is 802.3. Now there are certain variations that exist in this. This already we discussed in computer networks. The same concept is here. So first one what we have is a 10 base 5. So we call it as a coaxial cable. So okay. So in this, what do you mean by 5 is nothing but this coaxial cable will consist of 5 pairs of cables. Okay. And base is nothing but it is a baseband technique which is using in order to transmit the data, and it is of base 10. After that, we have something come across called as 10 base T. T is nothing but twisted pair, and the IEEE name for this is 802.3i. So this is something new we are discussing. Okay, every cable will have a IEEE name, so that we are providing here. Same after twisted pair came is nothing but 10 base 5. That is nothing but fiber optics. So this is used in order to transmit the data with a very high speed. Like we people are using 4G. So in 4G, we are actually transmitting using this fiber optics. It actually transmit the data with the speed of a light, and the IEEE standard format is 802.3J. Apart from that, we have something new here that is called 10 gigabits per second. It's also Ethernet, which uses an optical fiber cable, but it transmits 10 gigabits per second. It's very high. Mostly it might be used for supercomputers, where millions of transactions have been are getting executed per second. For that, we use this particular kind of thing, 802.3A. Now, for this is actually purely related to your cable oriented. So definitely it's a physical medium through which we people are transmitting the data in physical link layer. Apart from that, we do also have something called as Wi-Fi. So what I think everyone is familiar with that, right? Wi-Fi is nothing but it's a wireless medium through which we people get connected to the network, and we can try to transmit the data, or we can try to get the data, whatever is required. Well, it also has certain variations. Okay. So what are the variations it does have is, it has different variations. Well, I can give a small example. If you want to buy any new mobile phone, okay, so what we usually do is we surf one of the shopping website and we try to get the features. So if you look at the Wi-Fi column of that particular mobile phone features, you will see something like 802.11 A by B by G by N. So what is that? So actually we have different bands here. Okay, this A by B by G by N, whatever is there, they actually work with different frequencies. They have certain operating frequencies based on which these particular operating devices can work. Okay, so that is what represented here. If you observe here, 802.11a, it can operate in a 5 gigahertz band. It uses 5 gigahertz in order to transmit the data and all. So okay, let me first get you the full slide so that you can get a clear idea. Yeah. Now, so if you look at here 802.11b by G, these two actually operates with a 2.0 gigahertz band. So what is band is nothing but we already discussed computer network. We have two types, okay, broadband and baseband. So it uses a baseband which has 2.4 gigahertz of speed in order to transmit the data. Same way, if you come to 802.11n, it uses either 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. Same way, we have AC, which operates at 5 gigahertz, then finally AD. Now this is used for your something called as supercomputers or something like that, because we have 10 gigahertz band in order to transmit. Remaining all will be in a single digits like 2.4 or 5 gigahertz band. Okay. Apart from that, we have something called as Wi-Fi Max. So here, since we people are talking about the different type of Ethernet and Wi-Fi here, each one will have its own transmission rate. Okay, every device will have its own transmission rate. If you talk about Ethernet here, it has a data rate. Data rate is nothing but the rate at which it can transmit the information in a format of bits from our location to the other. How fastly it can transmit. So what is the data rate we have for Ethernet is 10 Mbps per second to 40 GB per second. So in between it can transmit your data. Whereas coming to what are the mediums we have, that we people already know: coaxial cable, twisted pair, and optical fiber. This is what we discussed in this particular thing. But what is data rate is most important. So for Ethernet only we will be having the most data rate because it is a wired medium. So wired medium means we will not be losing any packets and we can transmit the data with a full flow. That is what represented here. Now, if you come to 802.16, this is what we call WiMAX. This is some upgraded version of your Wi-Fi. So here we have a data rate of 1 Mbps per second to 6.75 GB per second. We can transmit the data. And finally, the most important, which we need to look around here, is 802.15.4 LR-PAN. Why I'm saying this is important here is because for Internet of Things, we said that these devices are very tiny in size. So definitely the hardware requirements will be very tiny. There were constraints in it, right? So here in this, for that purpose, what happens when we people directly cannot use Ethernet and Wi-Fi to communicate with other devices. So definitely we require some other kind of protocol to transmit the data, because the data size will be small and moreover they cannot store more information. Everything is limited, right? So for that purpose, definitely we require a separate kind of protocol. For that, we are using this protocol called 802.15.4 LRWPAN. So what exactly this is nothing but low rate wireless personal area network. Personal area network is nothing but, like, for example, you have a Bluetooth. You wanted to connect with your friend's mobile phone using Bluetooth. So you're getting connected without any wired medium. That is what we call it as personal area network. That's our personal. Only two devices got connected and you people are transmitting the files in between the two devices. Okay. Now, what kind of medium it is? It is a wireless PAN, because we are not using any wired medium to transmit the data. It's wireless. But what he is talking important, the most important here is this particular portion, something called as LR, low rate. So this low rate is nothing but whatever the data is getting transmitted, it is of very low quality. We can transmit it. It will be like, the data rate is very small. You can see here also. It's 40 kbps per second to 250 kbps. If you talk about Ethernet, 10 Mbps to 40 GB. But whereas here it's hardly, the minimum is KB and even the maximum size what we can transmit is also in KBs. Okay, the best example for this is Zigbee. So this is mostly used in our IoT devices in order to get connected to other devices as well in order to transmit that data. Okay. Fine. So that is thing clear. And in this we also have 2G, 3G and 4G. We will not be going in depth to this. This is, I think many of you know that 2G is nothing but second generation GSM by CDMA. CDMA is nothing but a code division multiple access, what we use. CDMA SIMs we used to have, but nowadays we are not getting any CDMA SIMs. Okay, we are actually having GSM. So these are second generation GSM, and then came across this third generation, and right now we people are using fourth generation. And by the end of 2020, and by the beginning of 2021, you people might be getting a 5G based mobile smartphones and all. Okay, so 5G technology will be coming into markets. Okay, apart from that, so this is what, so the data rate for these particular devices is around 9.6 kbps to 100 Mbps. Okay, now come to the network layer. So what we said, what is the main purpose of network layer? To transmission of the data, right? So it has to make sure the packets have the destination address properly provided, and from which route those packets need to be transmitted. That information or that process should be controlled by this network layer or internet layer. Both are same. You can call it as a network layer or internet layer. Now, in order to transmit or to route the packets from source to destination, we definitely require different type of protocols. So here we have IPv4, IPv6 and 6LoWPAN. This is also provided mostly for Internet of Things. We cannot use for normal purpose this one. This is mostly preferred for Internet of Things. But IPv4 and IPv6 we are familiar with. So IPv4 is nothing but Internet Protocol version number 4. So it actually uses a 32-bit addressing scheme. Everyone knows this. So means how many addresses we can generate is 2 to the power 32. By the end of 2011, what happened is the number of devices what we can have is this. But among this, what happened by the end of 2011, the number of devices exceeded these many addresses. So we were not able to provide a unique address to each and every system. So definitely we need to come across with a new kind of device, so a new kind of protocol. So for that IPv6 came into picture. This is nothing but Internet Protocol version 6. And if you observe here, IPv4 uses 32-bit addressing scheme, but whereas coming to IPv6, it uses 128-bit addressing scheme. So that is around 2 to the power 128 addresses can be generated. That's very huge number. And by coming 30, in the coming 30 years, upcoming 30 or 20 years, we don't have to worry about these addressing concepts for our any of the electronic devices. Okay, because that many addresses are generated. You can imagine it is a very huge number, very huge number. Okay, next we have something called as 6LoWPAN. Okay, LoWPAN, generally we call it as, but we have an abbreviation form this. 6 is nothing but it is related to your IPv6. LO means low power, W means wireless, personal area network. Low power, wireless, personal area network. Okay, IPv6. So it is purely based on this. What is the main purpose of developing this? Same concept, same reason is that the IoT devices are very limited in size and constraints are there. So in order to use them communicate, so in order to make them communicate with other devices perfectly or to route the packets perfectly, definitely we require a low rate related to or low power related data, because these IPv4, IPv4 and IPv6 consumes a lot of power. But whereas coming to our Internet of Things, the devices will have, they are very tiny. We cannot provide such a huge power supply to them. They have very limited battery backup. So definitely we cannot use IPv4, IPv6 directly. If you are using it, your device battery will get drained very fastly, and again we have to replace that particular device. Okay. So in order to overcome that, we are using this 6 low WPAN. Please remember this. Now, what exactly it operates? So generally it operates in 2.4 gigahertz, and what is the data transfer rate is maximum is 250 kbps per second. It will, so you can understand that it cannot even transmit 1 mbps per second also. It's highly impossible. Okay, 1 mbps is equal to how much? 1024 kb, right? So you can understand it's not even half of it, not even 50% also we are able to transmit per second of 1 MB. Okay, so that much so we are using it. Okay, and on what protocol it works on is 802.15.4 link. So this was already discussed in our physical layer. So based upon this protocol, this particular network layer protocols are working on. Is it clear? Next, we'll go to the next one, next layer. The next layer is transport layer. Well, everyone is very much familiar with transport layer. The main purpose of transport layer is for transmission of data from source to destination without getting lost. These packets, whatever we are transmitting over the network, they should not be lost in this particular routing mechanism. So that is taken care by TCP. So this is again classified into two types, TCP, UDP. TCP is nothing but transmission control protocol. UDP is nothing but user datagram protocol. Now, if you talk about TCP, we call it as connection oriented protocol, and it is reliable in nature. Whereas coming to UDP, it is connectionless. It is not connection, means indirectly he is saying this is a wireless medium. It is wireless in nature. Okay, it is wireless medium, and since it is wireless, we cannot guarantee the transmission of packets perfectly, so it is not reliable in nature. Okay, TCP is reliable in nature, whereas UDP is not reliable in nature. Okay, and this requires a connection medium, and moreover in this we have what we call client and server. We do have a client and server using TCP. If they want to communicate with each other, then first and foremost thing what they have to do is they have to establish a channel. They have to first establish a connection, and using this connection, these people can transmit the data. Once this connection is established, whatever the data is there, all the packets can be transmitted. Once this process is completed, the client will send a message to the server saying to disconnect this particular connection. Then this particular connection will get disconnected. Until then, this channel will be present. This is okay. So this is why we call it as a connection oriented. UDP, if you talk about in between client and server, we don't have any connection. It's only through wire we can send the packets, and there is a possibility that these packets might get lost. Okay, in the during due to maybe a huge traffic or maybe due to environmental conditions. So that's why it is called as non-reliable in nature. So these are the two protocols what we use it in our scenario. Next, we have application layer. This is the most important layer because this is where we people are using different type of applications. As I told you, for your convenience, like we have something called as WhatsApp. We have an application called WhatsApp. We have Facebook Messenger. I'm just giving you this example just for your understanding. What do you mean by application? So these all things are applications. You people are logging in. You people are playing any game. That is one kind of application. Same way, for Internet of Things also, we people can create applications, and these applications we can use. For example, we do have BlinkQ, one application which is used in order to connect to the different IoT devices, and using those devices we can perform operation. Okay, so that comes under this. So definitely these devices or these applications to work properly, we need protocols, and these are the different protocols we do have. We'll discuss them one by one. Okay, HTTP protocol. Okay, so what is the main purpose of HTTP protocol? So here, HTTP protocol, everyone is familiar with. This is nothing but hypertext transfer protocol. So what is the main purpose of this particular protocol is making sure that whatever the request a client is providing using a web browser, that information is delivered to the server in a secured manner. That is the purpose we are using it. And nowadays we have something called HTTPS. That is, S is nothing but secure, hypertext transfer protocol, secure. Now using this, we actually transmit the data. Now it uses several different type of operations. You people might have used it when you people have come across Java programming, where we have something called as get. We have get operation. We have put. Right? We have post. Same way, we have something called as delete. So these are some of the operations using which we people can try to send the data using your web browsers. Okay, so that is what we can do it. And moreover, it is this HTTP mostly runs in the client side, so that it can provide or send the data successfully to the server, and from the server it can get the data properly and provide it to the client. Next, we have something called a COAP. If you talk about this particular thing, this is nothing but constrained application protocol. Constrained means limited. Since it is limited, it is used for M2M. It is mostly used for M2M. M2M is nothing but machine to machine. So in order to let two different devices which are deployed in the environment to get communicated, we use this particular protocol, COAP. Okay. Now this is also similar to HTTP. It has these same methods: get, put, post, delete. All these methods are being used by this particular thing. And mostly it uses a client by server architecture. Remember, mostly everyone uses a client by server architecture. All the application here, what we are discussing these protocols, these uses client by server architecture. What do you mean by client by server architecture is nothing but there will be a client here, there will be a server here. The client will first send a request to the server, and the server will respond to that particular client. So based on this particular process takes place. So that is what he is saying here. Okay, client by server model. Now, if you talk about WebSocket, this is something important here. Now, this WebSocket is actually full duplex. Okay, remember this WebSocket is a full duplex communication, and this is bidirectional. Means what do you mean the full duplex means? Two-way communication can take place simultaneously. Okay, at a time. Like for example, you best example for this is you are calling to your friend. So what you people are having a conversation. So at a time, you people can talk to each other simultaneously. Maybe your friend is saying something, immediately you're also saying at the same time. So that is possible. That is what we call full duplex. And using this, what is saying client server model is used. So client and the server can communicate simultaneously when they are sending the request and sending the response and all. Okay, so that is most important here. Next we have MQTT. Yeah, MQTT is most important. If time permits, in the coming sessions, I will show you practically how this MQTT works. This is nothing but message queue telemetry protocol. And this protocol is also based upon the client by server architecture. And the main purpose of this is transmission of messages. We people are sending a request right from client to server that is transmitted in the format of a message. So how that is transmitted means for that we need a protocol called MQTT. Using this MQTT, we people can transmit the information or we can send the request to the server, and based on that the server is going to respond. Now this MQTT you please keep in mind because it uses a model, we'll see in the coming slide, something called publish by subscribe model. Published by subscribe model. This model is actually being used in this particular protocol. What do you mean by publish subscribe? Nothing but something like in YouTube, we people create a channel. So what we people do whenever a new video is getting created, we'll publish it. Now who can see that particular video? The one who has subscribed to that particular. So this is something like this is a server, this is a client. Server will publish it and the client will try to get the data. Okay, something like that. In that way it comes up. I will explain this elaborately in the coming slide. Okay, so this public by subscribe model uses MQTT protocol. Remember that. Then we have XMPP. As I told you, WhatsApp is the best example, which actually uses XMPP message. What do you mean by XMPP? Is nothing but extensible messaging and presence protocol. So what is the main purpose here is it actually supports different kind of application, like it not only can transmit the whatever the messages being typed. Apart from that, it can send voice commands as well as video. Like we people in the WhatsApp are able to send not only text messages, we can also transmit chat, voice. Yeah, right. Voice messages also we can transmit. Apart from that, we can nowadays we can even what we do, video calling also is possible with that. So how that is possible means with the help of this particular protocol, and this protocol is the same protocol being used in Internet of Things. Okay, and finally we have last two something called DDS, data distribution service. The main purpose of this particular data distribution service is to distribute the data to the different devices which are located in different locations. Well, this also uses the architecture similar to that particular kind of architecture, public by subscribe model, and based on that it will do. But the main purpose of DDS is nothing but the quality of service need to be provided in this particular scenario. Next, we have something called as AMQP. That is nothing but Advanced Message Queuing Protocol. Now, what this application actually does, it is an advanced version of your MQTT. Okay, same. It will also have public by subscribe model it uses. But it supports two things here. Not only public by subscribe, point-to-point model also being supported by AMQP. And moreover, it is an advanced version of your MQTT. The process is same. It will simply, these protocols are used for transmission of data. That's it. Okay, in a request or response format. Means the client is requesting, server is responding. In that format only it will transmit. But during this transmission, we definitely require some protocols. So these are the protocols being used in order to do that. Okay, I think it is clear with this. So these are the different protocols what we do have in our thing. So this is what actually provided here. So coming to the basic concepts of a logic design. So we'll come across here the logical design. So till previous slide, we have completed the physical design of our IoT. Okay, that is completed. So all the physical design is nothing but the different layers what we have in our network of Internet of Things that has been explained. Now in this particular slide, we are going to discuss about the logical design. Physical is completed, now logical. So what do you mean by logical? Exactly, it is nothing but logical in the sense nothing but here the abstract representation of the design has been provided. Abstract representation of the system, IoT system is provided. I think we people are familiar with what do you mean by abstract. So we abstract is nothing but only what functions that particular IoT system is going to perform, that only we are going to explain. But how it is getting implemented, that we are not focusing on. That is what comes under logical design. And for that also we do have a functional block for this. Okay, so this is a block we do have. which actually consists of different functional blocks. So first we have something called as device. So here, what is in this functional block? What it exactly does is it provides different functions. It is a device. So, okay, device is nothing but it's a hardware component like your temperature sensor, humidity sensor. So these perform some kind of function. What kind of function? They are used for sensing, they are used for acquisition, they are used for monitoring, and they are also used for controlling. Means all these things. Sensing means what the temperature, example, temperature sensor, what it does, it tries to sense the temperature from the environment, right? So what it is doing exactly? It is sensing. Acquisition is nothing but it's a mechanical motion. Like based upon this temperature sensor, some action has to take place. For example, let us suppose if people have set your AC to a specified degree, like for example, 24 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, whenever the room temperature is above 25 degrees temperature, immediately the system should turn on. Your AC should turn on and that cool that particular area to 25 degrees centigrade or 25 degrees Fahrenheit, right? So that mechanism, whatever is taking place, automatically switching on the AC, cooling the room, again switching off, that process is what we call acquisition. That comes under acquisition. Same way, we also require devices for monitoring purpose, whether our devices are functioning properly or not, whether that any of the device is getting damaged, or whether any of the device battery has been drained. Not all information for that we need monitoring of the particular devices. These are the functions that are provided by this particular device. Next, we have something called as communication. The main purpose of communication is communicating with different protocols. Since we are saying that that these particular IoT of things can communicate with other devices as well as they can communicate with our applications. So definitely we require a communication media. That communication media is nothing but how we are transmitting the data. So that only we have seen in the previous slide, physical layer. Physical design of IoT. We have a link layer, network layer, transport layer, and application layer. So that all features comes under this particular communication. After that, we have something called as services. So definitely IoT system should provide some services. Okay, services for device monitoring. Okay, services for publishing the data. Publishing means transmission of data between devices, and all those things are the services which should be provided by IoT. Okay, that also comes under functional block. After that, we have management, means definitely management services also need to be provided by this functional blocks. Okay, well, for what purpose means we need to manage everything, right? Since the devices have a very small amount of memory or very limited memory, so definitely we need to manage that it doesn't have or it doesn't transmit huge amount of data to that particular device. Which that particular thing cannot handle it. Okay, and moreover, if you have a client-based server, if the okay, not client-based server, like source and destination, and the sources keep on sending the packets, and the destination doesn't have that much ability to handle all the packets simultaneously, then what will happen? Some of the packets will be lost. So we need to make sure that the source is not transmitting all the packets at a time. So one at a time, maybe two packets at a time. So we are restricting. That management is actually done by this particular. So obviously we are talking about devices which have been connected to a network. So when we are talking about network, security is a major concern because there is a possibility that some malware or some infected files, okay, infected files may come up and they may try to damage our hardware devices. So we need to provide security. Security, how it is provided? In the format of authentication, something called authorization. Okay, so whatever the data you people are transmitting from machine to machine, that data should not be accessed by the third party or third device, you can say. So for that also we need some kind of security. So that security is provided by this particular thing. And finally, last but not the least is application. So applications, since we do have many different type of applications. Why we have WhatsApp here? What is the main purpose of having a WhatsApp application? Simply to get interacted with our friends, right? So that is an interface that has been provided in a format of application so that we can communicate with others. So these things, so these are the basic building blocks of your logical design of Internet of Things. And based on these things, we have different models. Yes, based on these, we have a different model. This is nothing but whatever I explained right now, that is represented here. Yes. Now, based upon the previous logical design of IoT functional block, we have different communication models. Means how two different devices can communicate with each other. Suppose this is your temperature sensor. This is your humidity sensor. Let us suppose humidity sensor want to get the data. This is your temperature sensor. This is your humidity sensor. So how the temperature sensor, so this humidity sensor wanted to get the data from temperature sensor, and based on that it will provide you the results related to your humidity. So how this data is getting transmitted, this communication, what it is taking place from here to here, that requires a different kind of models. We have different type of models for representing. So that we are going to discuss in this particular slide. Okay. So here we have first one is request response communication model. So the very first model what we have is request response. Remember, this is a client by server based application. Okay, this is a client by server based model, you can say, where we will be having a client, we will be having a server. So the first and foremost thing what will happen here, the client will try to send a request. Okay, for here it will try to send a request to the server. Now based upon this particular request, the server is going to perform different operations. These are the operations. What are the operations it is going to do is, it will first try to get the request from the client. Once it got the request, now it will start processing that particular request. And when it is processing it, it will try to find out how to deliver the result for that particular request. That is nothing but response. So whatever the data is required, it will try to get from the server. Okay, this is something like a database. So whatever the response has to be provided to the request received from the client, it will try to get the data from this particular database, and it will prepare in a particular format, and this format will be transmitted to the client in a format of a response. Remember? Okay. So this is the best example for this, your web browser, where you people are typing google.com. So what happens here, whenever you're typing google.com, you're getting a page of a Google, right? So that format has to, from where the data is coming, you will see like something Google. Here it is written as, this is your web page. Here it is written as Google. You have a bar like this. On top you have a Google, and here you have some languages, right? Now all this data is coming from the database. Now from the database it is getting all this data, and this is arranged in a format of a page. And this page is actually getting transmitted to you, and you are getting that in your web browser. This is your web browser. So you are getting this page here. Okay, so this is the way it is actually transmitting the information. So that's why it is called as client by server based architecture. One more point that need to be considered here is whatever the request is been transmitted here, this is stateless. Generally we call it as stateless communication. So what do you mean by stateless here is nothing but every time when the client sends the request, it will be taken as it is independent of previous request. For example, you have opened google.com. Now you are clicking on Gmail. The previous request what you have sent, google.com, is entirely independent from the next step what you have taken. Something you have clicked a button called gmail.com. Both are entirely different. Every time when you are sending a request, you people have to establish a connection first. That's why it is called a stateless. So whenever you people are sending independently these requests, every request whatever you are sending is independently, every time you have to send the full information. Full information means from which client it is coming, what is the IP address of that particular client, okay, so where it is located, all that information has to be transmitted the number of times you are requesting. Like first you request, second time again you are requested, all this information need to be transmitted. Again all the information need to be transmitted. Okay, this process will keep on continuing. That's why it is called as stateless protocol. We have two states, stateful. Stateful in the sense what does that mean? First time it will request for a connection. Once this connection is established, then it will try to send the messages, and next time when it is sending the request, it doesn't have to provide a new connection to it. Automatically we can transmit the data, and finally we need to close that connection. That is what we call it as stateful connection. That will see. Okay, so next what we have, so that is what I'm explaining here, data retrieving and fetching. After this, the next model what we have is something what called the publisher by subscriber model. Okay, remember I told you MQTT uses publisher by subscriber model. So here this is a publisher, now this is your subscriber. Okay, this is what we call server. This is you, and I told you this is based on client by server. This is your client. This is your client. and this is your server. Here is the publisher. Okay, what is the main purpose of publisher is it will send the information to the broker. Okay, to the server. Server will have a intermediator called broker. What is the main purpose of broker is he will actually gather the data with respect to one particular topic. So publisher, what do you mean by publisher is nothing but the IoT devices. All the IoT devices which are gathering the information from the environment is what we call it as publishers. Now what these people will do is they will transmit the information to the broker based on topic. Okay, what do you mean by topic here? Topic is nothing but it's something like I'll explain with example. Let us suppose we have a temperature sensor. Okay, this temperature sensor is what we call it as publisher. That's it, nothing else. As I told you, publisher nothing but IoT device. We have a temperature sensor. Okay, now this device is publisher. What is the main purpose of this temperature sensor? It will try to sense the temperature from the environment. That temperature, what it is actually reading, it can read only temperature. So that temperature is what we call it as the topic. Let us suppose this is a temperature. The topic is temperature. The next topic is, let us suppose we have another device that is humidity. So humidity. So this is also a publisher. What humidity will do? It will gather the information related to humidity and it will transmit. So this data will be transmitted to the second one. So this topic. So topic 2 is nothing but humidity. Now, who are these people? These are the clients. That is nothing but we. Let us suppose I am here. I wanted to get the temperature details. So whenever a new temperature detail is been transmitted to this, the broker will store the information here and I will subscribe to this particular broker. Okay, this server. So whenever a new value is coming up, that value will be transmitted to me. So here two people are subscribed here, two people will get the update. Since consumer 3 did not subscribe to this particular topic temperature, he will not be getting that information. So well, he will get the information related to the second topic, that is nothing but humidity. So whenever the new values are coming from the humidity sensor, that will be placed in the topic and the broker will send. Remember one point, if you want to get the details related to this particular information, you have to first subscribe it, something like a YouTube channel. If you subscribe to that one particular channel, whenever a new video has been uploaded in that particular channel, immediately that video will be shown to you when you people log into your accounts. Okay, so that is what called as publisher by subscriber model. So here 2 points you people have to keep in mind is broker and topic. So broker is the intermediate one who actually transmits the topic related information to the consumer, and whereas coming to topic is nothing but the sensors which are deployed, they will be specified for one particular kind of functioning. So maybe like temperature, humidity, barometric. So all those comes under topic. Based on the topic, the data will be transmitted to the server. In this, we are going to store it, and from here, whoever has subscribed, whoever client has subscribed, for that the data will be transmitted. So this is what we call it as publisher by subscriber model, and it uses MQTT format. Okay, MQTT format is the one which it actually uses. That's what it's saying. We have a publisher, broker, and consumer. Publishers are the source of data. That is nothing but our temperature. So I mean the sensors which will sense the data and will transmit. Consumers are the one who want to get the information. So like the users. When the broker receives the data from the topic, it will try to send it up. That is what been explained here. Okay, the next model what we have here is another model similar to publisher by subscriber, similar kind of thing, but only difference here is in place of broker, okay, server, we don't have a broker here, we have something called as queuing technique. We have queues here. So queue is, I think you people know, first in, first out, based on the queue. So whatever the temperature sensor is reading the data, that will be queued here. Whatever the humidity sensor is reading the information value, that will be added to this queue. And from this queue, the consumer can keep on getting the data one by one. If this data, if a consumer is there, he subscribes, then he will also get the data. Okay, so that will be pulled from this particular queue. Same, but remaining processes same related to your publisher by subscribing model. Sometimes this queue act as a buffer too. Okay, so why buffer in the sense I told the data rate. If the client or the server keep on transmitting the data very fastly, and the client system is not able to handle the situation perfectly, means not able to handle all the packets at a time, then what will happen? Some of the packets we may get lost. So in order to overcome that, this model act as a buffer. So what will happen? At a time, consumer can access one information at a time, and publisher can also add one information at a time. So it's a one-to-one. Okay. So in that way, what happens? Both will be performing very well. The functionalities will be performed very well. So that's what he's explaining in this particular time. Okay. So the last one is exclusive pair communication model. Well, this model is called as bidirectional. Why it is called as bidirectional means both way communication can take place, and it is full duplex. Full duplex means simultaneously they can send and transmit the information. They can send and receive the information. As I told you, you people have a conversation with your friend in a mobile phone. So fully duplex means your friend is already saying something, you are also saying at the same time. So both your words, whatever the words you people are speaking, are getting synchronized, and you people are able to hear both the voices. So that is what we call full duplex communication. Okay, and moreover, this is a stateful. Till previous models, whatever we discussed, these are stateless. But this model is exclusively stateful protocol. Okay, as I told you, what do you mean by stateful protocol is nothing but first time when these two devices, the client and server, are getting connected, okay, first time when they are interacting, they'll first establish a connection. They will first establish a connection here, like this, physical connection type. And once this connection is established, now they don't have, now whatever the next messages this client is sending, these are not independent. Now these people can directly transmit. Now the client can directly keep on sending the data from here to here. It don't have to send again the same information again and again. It can keep on sending the data. Same way the server can also keep on responding back. It is based on client, I mean, request by response model. So it can keep on sending. Now, only thing we people have to keep in mind is when this conversation completes, when this entire conversation between client and server completes, the client should send a message to the server asking to close that particular channel, close that particular connection, whatever has been established. Once it is closed, then only this entire connection will go off, or else it will be left assigned. Same example of your conversation with your friend. Once you people have completed your conversation, so what you people are doing, you are pressing the button, right? Close button, red color button, right? You are disconnecting the call. If you people are not disconnecting the call, what will happen? Even though you people are not having a conversation, but still that connection will be there, right? So whatever you people are talking, that will be transmitted. So here, after this entire conversation, it has to send a connection asking you to close that particular connection, and the server will respond saying that I have closed it. Then that particular connection will close. This is the only thing you people have to keep in mind. These models are very easy to remember, very easy to use and understand where we can use these kind of models. Okay. Fine. IoT communication APS. Well, we'll discuss in the next session this particular APS. For today, till here we'll stop. Okay.